The Westfield shopping center had been abandoned for 3 years. Broken windows, graffiti-covered walls, and weeds growing through the cracked parking lot made it look like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. But when Canine Officer Riley followed his German Shepherd partner Scout through the shattered entrance, the dog's behavior told a different story. Scout wasn't tracking old scents or investigating urban decay. He was following a trail that led straight to 5 people who were very much alive and desperately needed help. Welcome to Saved by Tales. Before we dive into this incredible story of a canine's determination leading police through an abandoned mall to make a life-saving discovery, tell me in the comments, have you ever explored an abandoned building and felt like you weren't alone? And if you believe these amazing animal heroes deserve recognition, hit that subscribe button and join our community celebrating the incredible instincts that save lives when humans have given up hope. It started with a party that ended too early. 5 college students from the University of Nevada had driven to Las Vegas for spring break, planning to celebrate their friend Jessica's 21st birthday. The last anyone heard from them was a text message from Jessica at 11:47 p.m. on Saturday night, leaving the club early. Something feels off. See you tomorrow. That was 3 days ago. Jessica Martinez, Tyler Kim, Sarah Johnson, Marcus Thompson, and Amanda Chen, all straight-A students, all from good families, all completely vanished without a trace. Their rental car was found in a parking lot 6 blocks from the club, keys still in the ignition, Jessica's purse on the passenger seat with her phone and wallet untouched. Detective Ray Santos had worked missing persons cases for 15 years, but this one felt different. 5 responsible college kids don't just disappear simultaneously without leaving some kind of trail. The security footage from the club showed them leaving together at 11:35 p.m., but none of the surrounding businesses had cameras that picked up where they went next. It's like they just evaporated, Santos told Officer Maria Riley as they stood in the police station briefing room on Tuesday morning. No credit card activity, no phone pings, no witnesses, nothing. Riley looked at the photos of the 5 students pinned to the bulletin board. They looked like any group of college friends, laughing, carefree, completely unaware that their night out would turn into their family's worst nightmare. What about canine assistance? Riley asked. Scout's been successful with missing persons before. Santos nodded. That's why I called you. We need to try something different, because conventional investigation isn't getting us anywhere. Riley and Scout arrived at the parking lot where the student's car had been found at 2:30 p.m. The lot was empty except for a few abandoned vehicles and scattered trash, but Scout immediately began working the area with his nose to the ground. Scout was a 4-year-old German Shepherd with an exceptional track record. He'd found missing hikers in the Nevada desert, located evidence in cold cases, and once tracked a kidnapper through downtown Las Vegas during a thunderstorm. His nose was legendary in the department. Within minutes, Scout had isolated a scent trail near the rental car. His tail went up, his pace quickened, and he began the methodical tracking behavior that Riley knew meant he'd found something significant.
Good boy, Riley encouraged, following as Scout led her out of the parking lot and onto the sidewalk. The trail headed north, away from the club district and into a more rundown part of the city. For 40 minutes, Scout followed the scent trail through increasingly desolate streets. Abandoned storefronts, empty lots, and boarded-up buildings dominated the landscape. Riley began to worry they were following a false lead. Surely the students wouldn't have come to this part of town voluntarily. That's when Scout led her to the fence. The Westfield shopping center had once been the pride of this part of Las Vegas. Built in the 1980s, it had thrived for decades before economic downturns and changing shopping habits led to its gradual decline. The final anchor store had closed in 2019, and the mall had been sitting empty ever since, a monument to consumer culture's rise and fall. Scout approached the chain-link fence that surrounded the property and immediately became more agitated. His tracking behavior intensified, and he began pawing at a section of fence where someone had cut a hole large enough for a person to crawl through. "You want to go in there, boy?" Riley asked, looking at the massive dark building beyond the fence. Most of the external lighting had been broken or removed, leaving the structure looking like a tomb against the desert sky. Scout didn't hesitate. He squeezed through the gap in the fence and waited for Riley to follow. Once inside the perimeter, he immediately picked up the trail again, leading Riley across the cracked parking lot toward what had once been the main entrance. The sliding glass doors had been shattered years ago, leaving an opening partially blocked by plywood and security barriers. But there was enough space for Scout to slip through, and his behavior indicated the scent trail led directly inside. Riley called for backup before entering. "This is Unit 47. I'm following a canine trail into the abandoned Westfield Mall on North Desert Drive, requesting backup and possibly a tactical team." "Copy that, Unit 47. What's the nature of the situation?" "Possible location of 5 missing college students. K9 is showing strong tracking behavior. The interior of the abandoned mall was like stepping into a dystopian nightmare. Broken skylights allowed shafts of dusty sunlight to illuminate empty storefronts with their security gates pulled down. Debris littered the corridors, broken glass, fallen ceiling tiles, graffiti covering every available surface. But Scout moved through the maze of abandoned retail spaces with purpose. His nose was locked onto a scent trail that wound through the main corridor, past the empty fountain that had once been the mall's centerpiece, deeper into the building's interior. Riley followed, her flashlight beam dancing across the destruction. Every step echoed through the vast empty space, and she found herself constantly checking over her shoulder. The place felt haunted, but Scout's behavior suggested they weren't alone. The dog led her past the old food court, where overturned tables and chairs created an obstacle course of metal and plastic, then up a set of stairs to the second level, where the scent trail seemed to grow stronger. Scout's tail was rigid, his breathing more focused, signs that Riley recognized as indicating they were getting close to their target. That's when they heard it, a faint sound echoing from somewhere deeper in the building, not the creaking of old infrastructure or the skittering of rats. This was human, a voice calling for help. Scout's tracking led them to what had once been a GameStop in the mall's north wing. The security gate was down but not locked, and Scout pawed at it, insistently while whining softly, his signal that he'd found what he was looking for. Riley lifted the gate just enough to shine her flashlight inside. What she saw made her heart race. The 5 missing college students were huddled in the back corner of the empty store, bound with zip ties and duct tape. They were alive but clearly had been held captive for days. Jessica Martinez looked up when the light hit her face, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Help us," she whispered hoarsely. "Please," they said they'd be back soon. Riley immediately radioed for emergency medical assistance and additional officers, while Scout remained alert, scanning the area for any signs of the captors. The students were dehydrated and exhausted, but didn't appear to have any serious injuries. "How many people were holding you?" Riley asked as she began cutting their restraints. "2 men. Tyler Kim answered weakly. "They grabbed us in the parking lot, drugged us somehow. We've been here since Sunday night." "Are they still in the building?" "We don't know," Sarah Johnson said. "They leave for hours at a time, then come back," they said. They said they were waiting for something. As Riley worked to free the students, Scout's behavior suddenly changed. His ears went forward, his body tensed, and he let out a low growl that made everyone freeze. Someone was coming. "Get behind the counter," Riley whispered urgently, drawing her weapon. "Stay quiet." Footsteps echoed through the mall corridor, 2 sets, moving casually, as if the people making them had no idea their operation had been discovered. Riley positioned herself behind the security gate, while Scout stayed alert beside her. "Should have gotten more for them," one voice was saying as they approached. 5 college kids from good families? We could have asked for twice as much." "Relax," replied a second voice. "The buyer is coming tonight. After this deal, we're done with this place anyway." Riley's blood ran cold. This wasn't just a kidnapping, it was human trafficking. The students were being sold. The footsteps stopped outside the GameStop. "Something's wrong," the first voice said. "The gate's not how we left it." That's when Scout acted. The German Shepherd burst through the partially raised security gate and launched himself at the first man, a heavy-set individual in his 40s, who fell backward with Scout's 85 pounds of muscle and training on top of him. The second man, younger and thinner, turned to run but found himself face to face with Riley's service weapon. "Police, don't move." Backup arrived within minutes. SWAT teams, detectives, paramedics, and crime scene technicians who turned the abandoned mall into a fully operational law enforcement scene. The 2 kidnappers, later identified as brothers Carl and David Reeves, were taken into custody without further incident. The students were transported to University Medical Center for evaluation and treatment. Despite their ordeal, all 5 were in stable condition and expected to make full recoveries. "They grabbed us as we were walking to our car," Jessica explained to Detective Santos at the hospital. "One minute we were laughing about the lame club, the next minute we were waking up in that store with zip ties around our wrists." The investigation revealed that the Reeves brothers had been using the abandoned mall as a base of operations for over a year. They would kidnap young people, usually tourists or college students who wouldn't be missed immediately, and hold them in various empty stores throughout the building while arranging buyers. It was the perfect setup, Detective Santos explained to the media. "The mall is isolated, easy to access, and has dozens of potential hiding places. They could hold victims for days or weeks without anyone knowing." FBI agents took over the case when they realized the scope of the operation. The Reeves brothers weren't working alone. They were part of a larger trafficking network that operated throughout the Southwest, using abandoned commercial properties as temporary holding facilities. This mall was just one node in a much larger operation, FBI agent Karen Walsh explained. "We've identified at least 12 other abandoned properties that were being used similarly across Nevada, Arizona, and California." Computer files found in the brothers' makeshift command center revealed records of over 30 victims who had passed through the mall in the past year. Many had been reported as missing persons, but their cases had gone cold when investigators couldn't find any leads. The Reeves brothers were essentially running a shipping operation, Agent Walsh continued. They'd grab victims, hold them here until buyers were arranged,
then transport them to other locations for sale into forced labor or worse. The case brought national attention to the use of canine units in missing persons investigations. Scout's ability to track a 3-day-old scent trail through an urban environment and into a complex building structure was considered remarkable even by professional standards. Jennifer Martinez, a veterinary behaviorist from the University of Nevada, studied Scout's performance in the case. What Scout accomplished was extraordinary, she explained. He not only tracked scents that were days old, but he was able to distinguish between the victim's scent trail and all the other human scents that would have been present in that environment. Dogs like Scout have sensory capabilities that we're still trying to understand, Dr. Martinez continued. His nose is estimated to be between 10,000 and 100,000 times more sensitive than a human's, but it's not just about smell. Dogs also process scent information in ways that allow them to create detailed mental maps of who was where and when. The trial of the Reeves brothers became a showcase for the effectiveness of canine units in law enforcement. Scout's tracking was considered crucial evidence that led investigators to the victims and the trafficking operation. Without that dog, those students would have disappeared forever, prosecutor Linda Chen told the jury. The Reeves brothers had perfected a system that exploited the gaps in our missing persons investigations. Scout's nose broke through those gaps. Carl and David Reeves were convicted on multiple counts of kidnapping, human trafficking, and conspiracy. They received sentences of life in prison without parole. Their conviction also provided leads that helped FBI agents dismantle the larger trafficking network. The 5 college students faced a long road to recovery, but their families were grateful beyond words for Scout's role in finding them. "I never thought I'd be so happy to see a dog," Jessica Martinez said at a press conference a month after her rescue. "When that flashlight beam hit us and we saw Officer Riley and Scout, it was like seeing angels." The students established a scholarship fund for canine training programs, ensuring that more dogs like Scout could be trained to help law enforcement find missing persons. "Scout saved our lives," Tyler Kim said. "The least we can do is help train more dogs like him so they can save other people too." The abandoned Westfield Mall was demolished 6 months after the rescue. The city couldn't allow the building to remain standing given its history as a trafficking site, and the property owners donated the land for a public park. A memorial garden was created on the site, with a statue of a German Shepherd as its centerpiece. The inscription reads, "In honor of Scout and all canine heroes who find those who are lost." Officer Riley and Scout attended the dedication ceremony, where Scout was presented with the American Kennel Club's Award for Canine Excellence. "Scout represents the very best of what canine units can accomplish," said AKC President Dennis Sprung. His determination and skill saved 5 lives and helped expose a criminal operation that had victimized dozens of people. 3 years after the mall rescue, Riley and Scout continued their partnership with an enhanced reputation throughout the law enforcement community. They'd been called in to assist with dozens of missing persons cases, always guided by Scout's remarkable tracking abilities. "The mall case changed how I work with Scout," Riley reflected. "I learned to trust his nose even when logic told me we were going in the wrong direction. Dogs don't think like we do, but they perceive things we miss entirely." Their partnership had evolved into something deeper than just handler and working dog. Scout seemed to understand the importance of their work, showing increased focus and determination when tracking missing persons. "He knows when we're looking for someone in trouble," Riley observed. "His whole demeanor changes. It's like he understands that someone's life might depend on his nose." Scout became the model for advanced canine training programs focused specifically on missing persons cases. His success in tracking scents through complex urban environments inspired new training methods and techniques. Scout showed us that dogs can track effectively in environments we thought were too contaminated with competing scents, explained canine training supervisor Captain James Morrison. His case revolutionized how we train dogs for urban search and rescue. The techniques developed from studying Scout's work were shared with canine units across the country, improving the success rate of missing persons investigations nationwide. "I still think about that abandoned mall, and how easily those 5 students could have vanished forever into a trafficking network that had been operating undetected for over a year. If Riley had dismissed Scout's interest in the derelict building, if she'd assumed his tracking was leading to a dead end, those young people would have disappeared without a trace." Scout's story teaches us something profound about the partnership between humans and animals in law enforcement. It's not just about the dog's superior senses, it's about trust, persistence, and the willingness to follow leads even when they seem impossible. Scout didn't just track a scent through an abandoned building, he followed it through 3 days of urban contamination, through security barriers, and into a place that logic said should be empty. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a moment when an animal led you somewhere you wouldn't have gone on your own? When their behavior guided you to a discovery you never would have made? These partnerships between humans and animals create possibilities we're still learning to understand. Share your stories in the comments below. because at Saved by Tales, we believe that the most important discoveries often happen when we trust our four-legged partners enough to follow them into the unknown. If Scout's incredible rescue story moved you, if it made you appreciate the remarkable capabilities of working dogs, please share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Hit that like button, subscribe to Saved by Tales, and help us continue celebrating the animals whose instincts and determination save lives in ways we're only beginning to appreciate. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the most important trails are the ones that lead us where we never expected to go.